John, Massachusetts. You're on the Wilkow Majority. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Good. I want to have a dialogue with you about this. There are people who have certain texts that are normative to their area. For example, the Bible is normative to the Christian tradition. Okay? The Constitution is normative to the law, as you constantly show us. But don't you think there's a problem with someone who, say, is a biblical literalist and doesn't allow any room for interpretation?
If they want to live their lives that way, that's fine for them.
For who, the biblical literalist?
If somebody wants, as long as nothing that they're doing violates the law, meaning that if they, and I don't even know where you would go with that. I mean, if you want to live your life as a devout Muslim, you have that right. What you don't have the right to do is subjugate a woman who doesn't want to be subjugated. If a woman wants to walk around in a burqa and walk 4 feet behind her husband and do this, that, and the other thing, that's fine. But you don't have the right to impose that on other people.
No, you're not getting my point. My point is this. I understand what you're saying. You're not getting my point is people who are biblical literalists don't allow any room for interpretation. They say, here's the text, this is what it says, that's it. Okay?
And so long as that person isn't trying to govern you with that...
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is related to that is someone like yourself who's a constitutional literalist and doesn't allow any room for interpretation or for the current context to get a more informed understanding of how these laws evolve over time.
I have a very informed. No, law doesn't evolve in that you just change the language to suit today's purposes. If you want to evolve law with regard to the Constitution, you amend the Constitution. Right. It has that. The concept of the living and breathing Constitution is contained in the amendment process.
Right, but even with the text that stands, it sometimes sounds like you're a Southern Baptist preacher who's citing chapter and verse to say this is what it says, so we must do it. And there's no room there for interpretation of it.
You're right. There is no room for somebody to just decide to interpret the law and then enforce it on another person.
Okay, Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution says the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges.
That's the traveling clause. Yes, I'm very well aware of it.
Okay, so if I'm a person, I'm not gay, but let's say I was gay and I was married in a state that allows for gay marriage, like Vermont or Massachusetts.
Or now California.
Right. If I go to a state that doesn't allow it, like Kansas or Ohio, I don't get all the rights and privileges of a state.
Yeah, kind of like if I'm from Vermont and I have a concealed weapons permit, or if I'm from Texas and I have a concealed weapons permit, I move to New York City. New York City doesn't recognize it.
But if you're a heterosexual, your marriage is recognized in every state. You don't need
right, and if you don't want to carry a gun, you don't have to carry a gun. If I have said on this program, you have to apply it consistently. If you're saying that a marriage license issued in California must transfer to, let's say, South Carolina, then a gun permit issued in South Carolina then must transfer to California.
Fine, but you're married, right?
Yes, I am.
So what state were you married in?
I was married in the state of New York.
Okay, so but you and your wife can go to any state you want, and you don't have to get another license. Your marriage is recognized no matter where you go.
But see, sir, I've already explained that. If you think the concept of the marriage license is discriminatory, then eliminate the marriage license.
No, I'm not asking you to eliminate the
license.
Why
not? Why does the government? What is the government's purpose in issuing a marriage license in the first place? When you issue a driver's license, you have a driver's license?
Yes, I do.
Did you have to take a test?
Originally, yeah.
If you failed, were they going to give you the license?
No.
Okay, so what could you do to fail the marriage license test?
There isn't a marriage license test. It's an irrelevant point.
So then the marriage license isn't of itself irrelevant and no longer needed.
So you don't think there should be marriage licenses?
No.
Then why do you have one?
Because I had to be legally married.
So what should there be instead? So there shouldn't be marriage in this country.
You're
against gay marriage, but you don't think there should be marriage license?
John, you can get married without a marriage license. People were getting married long before there was a federal government and a state government and government of any kind. The concept of marriage has nothing to do with whether or not the state sanctions it.
Then why do we have marriage licenses in this country, and where does it come from?
Well, they're probably inbreeding, the spreading of disease, blood, the sharing of blood. I don't know. Why. Why do we need a marriage license? You see, you can't handle the fact that I just paved the way for gays to get married.
No. I know what I'm saying is there's many reasons why we have marriage licenses. One of them is taxation.
A fair tax and a flat tax would render that totally unnecessary, as nobody would be taxed more or less for being married or unmarried.
One of them has to do with property rights, inheritance rights.
You can will your
visitation
property
rights,
to your dog if you'd like, sir.
adoption rights.
You don't need to be married to adopt.
Look.
Look at all the Hollywood celebrities.
There are over 1,000 rights and privileges that you and I both have as heterosexual men who are married to women that we just take for granted that people of the...
Well, hold on, sir. Adoption rights? Single people adopt all the time. Look at Hollywood celebrities that go out and get kids wherever they want to get them from. As far as common property, you can give your property to whoever you want. You can contract to unify your property with whoever you want, and you don't even have to be married to them, sir. Hospital visitation? Make a guest list. Who cares?
It's not that simple. If you and your
No,
wife...
why don't you just say what you're really saying is you want big government augmented to suit your needs. So then if gays want to get married, and the only thing standing in the way between a gay couple and their marriage is that certificate, eliminate that certificate.
I'm not trying to make an argument in favor of gay marriage. I'm using that as an example. I'm trying to make a point.
Okay.
You are a constitutional literalist.
So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with fidelity to the Constitution?
Because it doesn't leave any room for interpretation.
Well, whose interpretation do you want? What do you want interpreted? And who do you grant that authority to interpret it to?
What is that?
What do you want interpreted, and who do you grant this interpretation authority to?
So you think that the Constitution is black and white? There's no room in there whatsoever.
What do you want interpreted, and who do you want to interpret it?
I think we elect certain people in this country whose job it is to uphold the Constitution. Is that correct?
To uphold it, not to interpret it.
Not to do any interpretation at all.
Where do you find in the Constitution the power of interpretation?
That's like saying, okay, where do you...
All right, thank you. This is going round and round and round, and you're wasting my time. You want to interpret what, and who do you want to interpret it? That's the problem. The problem is you want to redefine the rights of other people. 1-866-95-PATRIOT. The interpretation is going to be done by an unelected body of people, which aren't accountable to the voter. That at that point, if you just simply interpret the Constitution, you can make it say whatever the hell you want it to say as to not be constrained by it, sir. That's the problem. If you want a dominant state or a dominant government, then invoke the 10th Amendment and vote in total fascist to run the state of Massachusetts and leave the rest of us alone. 1-866-95-PATRIOT. All right, lots of